MMAjunkie.com. I got to give credit to John Morgan. It might not have been his pick. I got to give Morgan the credit, though. So, weigh-ins, are you guys seeing this? Petr Yan and Merab Dvalishvili, but there was a push. Did you guys see this? I'm wondering if you specifically saw. This is as bad as I've seen. This is as bad of a push as I have ever seen. They're up there on stage, Merab's going off at him. And I don't even know that Petr Yan knows what he's saying. Because first off, those guys aren't great at English, but they usually try to talk to each other in English. They try to talk to each other in a non-native tongue. But then you've got accents anyway. I think it's a hard time. You don't always have to know. When you're that close to a guy, you can sense it. You know when there's trouble. And Yan is starting to break. Jan's face to the audience as he's getting yelled at over here, and you can see it on his face, right? Not to mention you're not in a very good mood when you're cutting weight. You're a little cranky, you're stressed out for a fight, and you got this dude who's been coming at you through the media. When he goes to push him, and this is Yan, he's got an open hand, he's got this number. You guys know this move? It's very important that the thumb is not with the fingers. The thumb is with the fingers. We have a push. Would probably, I could not imagine, I would be speaking about right now, and John Morgan probably didn't even post to the front page of his website because the thumb was open. You know, it's like a chop. Came right towards that Adam's apple. Right towards that Adam's apple, it was a chop. And I watched this thing 5 times trying to figure out what the intent was. Was the intent to push the shoulder and he just blatantly missed it? If your intent was to push the shoulder, you would know to keep the thumb with the fingers. I think perhaps he meant to neck chop him. I think perhaps he meant to chop him right in the throat, which would make for a very nasty, nasty move. One of the meanest I've ever seen. One of the most inappropriate I have ever seen. I think that Petr Yan might be a bad guy. I mean, I'm sensing that from him. He's very cute. I mean, I'll give him that, right? He's very cute and he's got the haircut. He's got a nice smile. I think this guy might be a heel. And I think he should go with it. And I've seen bad ones at press conferences. You want to know what a bad one was? I'm trying to think of who it was. Jeremy Stevenson. Jeremy Stevenson did the push. But he took both hands, like he was close to a guy. He underestimated his own strength. He underestimated range. Right? Underestimated that the opponent doesn't know what's coming. That's different too, right? If the guy was in a fight stance, it's totally different. Doesn't know what's coming. Jeremy miscalculates this. And all he did is give him a push. All he did is give him a push. He gave the guy whiplash. He had to go to the hospital over the push. If I remember right, the fight was canceled. I do remember right. The fight was canceled. The fight was canceled because of the whiplash. And the guy wasn't faking it. By the way, I mean, if you see it, he just wasn't ready for it to come. He was not ready for a professional athlete 6 inches away to double hand push him. It was in a square stance, by example, as opposed to a stagger stance. Just by example, he didn't know it was coming. What about the one Jon Jones and Daniel Cormier? There was a guy who had lighter hair. You know, stood about 5'9", 5'10", a little bit. I don't mean lighter hair color. I mean light. He just didn't have a whole lot of hair, like a buzz cut, right? And he would do like a little bit of facial hair and he had just a little bit of gray in it. His name was Dave Schaller. Dave Schaller is one of the great PR people. People thought it was John Anik. John was kind of new to the company. John had been there a little bit, but he wasn't really doing all these press. People thought it was John Anik. And Schaller goes down. I mean, first off, Schaller got blamed for it because he was the guy that was up there that's supposed to keep these two monsters away from each other. Nobody could do that, but he's still the one that gets blamed for it. And then he went down and people thought that it was Anik. I'm just reminding you, we've seen some really bad ones. I'm not forgetting. I'm not forgetting about the night that Mike Tyson bit Lennox Lewis's ankles. This is one of the worst I've ever seen. Yeah. How do you like that? I don't think many people are going to come to that conclusion. I don't think John Morgan himself came to that conclusion. But I think if you watch it again, and you recognize where the thumb is, and you recognize that a trained combat would know, we would know to keep the thumb with the fingers unless that's not what you were attacking. And if it's not what you were attacking, then you're talking about chopping a guy right in the throat. You're talking about chopping it right in the Adam's eye. You're talking about doing something at a weigh-in that is illegal in the actual fight. Two guys get up there and they're in a fight, and you're going to think that's really cool until you see one of them dig for the guy's eye. You're going, well, wait a second, we don't do that. He chopped him in the throat. I think. I know what he did. I'm left with, is that what he meant to do? And I think he did. I think Petr Yan has come over to the dark side.